everyone, welcome back to this YouTube channel. I know it's been a long time. Can I say Happy New Year 2026? Happy New Year, my friends. So if you are new here, my name is Bolaji Ogundipe, and I like to just refer to myself as that encourager next door. So I just bring words of encouragement on this channel. So welcome. It's great to be back. So let me encourage you by the same words that I've been encouraged by the Lord. Okay, so today, why have I not shot a video in a long time on this platform? Actually, let's just say life has been lifing. Oh, I'm just like, oh, I've got my own to deal with. I've got my own, should I call it issues now or challenges, to face. I don't have time to be encouraging people. Baby, scrap that. Got a lot going on for me, right? So it wasn't even intentional. Somehow I just realized that this is March, and in fact, March is almost coming to an end. And the Lord, the same scripture the Lord encouraged me with. So that's just what I want to encourage you with this time. So the Lord just helped me to say from the book of Ruth chapter 2, from verse 11. I will just read verse 11 and 12. It says, "Yes, I know," Boaz replied, "but I also know about everything you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. I have heard how you left your father and mother and your own land to live here among complete strangers." So backstory, I know some of you may know the story already from the book of Ruth in the Bible. So Ruth also had her issues. Even from this verse, we can see that she had already lost her husband. She was a widow. She didn't have a child yet as at that time, and she already lost her husband. But yeah, she did not even cower in, be like, I've got my own troubles, I've got my own issues. She still looked after her mother-in-law. She still looked after her mother-in-law, and even said that she was going to go with her. She was not going to leave her mother-in-law alone. And to also mention, the mother-in-law had lost her son, who was Ruth's husband. Yeah, she has also lost another son. She has lost her husband. So Ruth just felt like, no, I'm going to stay with this woman, even though she also had her own issues, even though she also was a widow, even though she also had already lost her husband. She didn't have a child, but she still went on to take care of her mother-in-law. And I really love verse 12. That verse 12 says, "May the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you have done." So I see that there's a reward. Many times we also have our issues, just like I said I had mine. Right? And I'm like, oh, let's leave encourager there. Right? Let me just face my own issues headlong. And then I'm saying here that even though Ruth also had her issues, but then she did not leave her mother-in-law. She still went on ahead, taking care of her, nurturing the old woman. And we see that a blessing came upon her, that the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you have done. And if you read on, on that scripture in Ruth, you will actually see that God truly rewarded her. And in fact, this scripture also reminded me of Joseph. Joseph also had his problems. Joseph had his trouble. His brothers had sold him. He was in a foreign land. Even in the foreign land, he was trying to be a good boy, a good youth. Yet they still, the wife of the boss still accused him that he tried to rape her, even when he did not, because he did not accept her seducement and all of that. And he was thrown into the prison. So things was really hard for Joseph. Things was really hard for him. But yet he saw another person, who actually had a fellow prisoner while he was in prison, whose face was not looking well. His face was disfigured, and he was like, "What's happening with you?" He still reached out, even though he had his own troubles. He's just supposed to be be consumed by his own problem. I think the word the Lord gave me is, don't be self-absorbed in your own problem. Joseph was supposed to just be self-absorbed, like, oh, I've got my own issues, just bury his head, and he's not even looking at anybody. Even though he sees anybody, he doesn't care. He's just, let me just face mine, right? But Joseph still looked at his fellow prisoners, saw that their faces were disfigured, and he offered to help. And from that story of Joseph, we could see that in he helping, rendering help to those people, that was the beginning of his own settlement. Because we see later on from that story that after he had helped those other people, later on, that was what God used. It was the using those people, as a vessel to take away Joseph from his own trouble, and he came from the prison to become a prime minister. Yes, you know the story, especially if you are a Christian. So, and we also hear from the book of Ruth that, Ruth helping her mother-in-law, staying with her mother-in-law, that was actually also, it was from there that a blessing come. I don't want to say the story. Go and read the book of Ruth, then you see how our own reward also came from the same mother-in-law she had. She purposed to help, she decided to help and to stay with. That was where our own reward also, the Lord used the mother-in-law for her hand. She was maritally settled, she became a happy woman again, and all of that. So I want to encourage you, don't be buried in your own troubles. The whole gist of this talk that we've been having is, don't be buried in your own troubles. Offer help to another person. Whatever it is God has placed in your heart, don't be weary. Yes, I think that scripture is, don't be weary in well doing. Don't get weary. That the latter end of that scripture says, in due season you will reap if you don't stop. If you don't stop doing good, say, do not get weary. Do not be weary in well doing, for in due time you will reap if you faint not. So please do not be weary, do not grow weary, just like I wanted to before, right? But no, I am not. Do not be weary in well doing. Whatever good the Lord has placed in your heart, whatever way you can help another person, even though you have your own troubles, everybody has their troubles, but also there's help in the hands of fellow people also. So the help God has put in your hands to help another fellow human, please go ahead and do it. Offer. You never can say it may be from the help you are rendering someone. That is when your own settlement is coming from. That is when your own deliverance is coming from. When you light up on other person's world, be sure that you also will not live in darkness. So I hope this encourages you as it really does for me. So also keep praying for me to keep showing up here more often, and God of grace to continue to carry every one of us. So go and do good. Don't forget to like. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and subscribe to this channel if you have not. God bless you, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.